Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Jane's Fleet Command as we continue with the Jane's reference materials. Today we'll be going through Germany, a little bit of a shorter list, so we'll be able to do this all in one go. Excuse me. So, submarines, Type 206 diesel submarine, publication Jane's Fighting Ships, section submarines, country Germany, title Type 206 and 206A, designation SSK. Specifications: displacement 450 tons surfaced, 498 tons submerged, length 159.4 feet, beam 15.1 feet, draught 14.8 feet, speed 10 knots surfaced, 17 knots submerged, range 4,500 miles at 5 knots surfaced, complement 22 of which 4 are officers, main machinery diesel electric 2 MTU 12V 493 AZ80 GA31L diesels producing 1,200 horsepower, 882 kilowatts sustained, 2 alternators producing 810 kilowatts, 1 Siemens motor producing 1,800 horsepower or 1.32 megawatts sustained, all powering 1 shaft. Armament and electronics, torpedoes, 8 21-inch 533mm bow tubes capable of firing the DM-2A1 Type 206 torpedo, wire-guided, active homing to 3.3 nautical miles at 35 knots, passive homing to 7.6 nautical miles at 23 knots. Also capable of firing the DM-2A3 Type 206A torpedo, wire-guided, active homing to 7 nautical miles at 35 knots, passive homing to 15 nautical miles at 23 knots. Mines, GRP containers secured outside the hull each side. Each container holds 12 mines, carried in addition to the normal torpedo or mine armament. 60 mines can be carried in place of torpedoes. ESM, DR-2000U with Thorn EMI SARI 2 in the 206A for intercept. Radars, surface search, Calypso 2, I-band. Sonars, the 410A4 on the Type 206 or the DBQS-21D on the Type 206A for passive active search and attack, and the DUUX-2 for passive ranging. 15 are active, with hull numbers U15 through U19, and then U21 through U30. So here we have a picture of one surfaced. And here is the 3D model. And note the very unique propulsion system they got going on back there. Which that thing's gotta be pretty damn quiet even for a diesel. And I believe these were widely exported too, so we see these a lot in, let's see, Type 206. So maybe not so much in, not so much in this game, but I believe other countries did import a lot of Type 206, or variants of the Type 206. Surface ship classes, starting with the Lutjens Guided Missile Destroyer. Lutjens DDG, publication Jane's Fighting Ships, section destroyers, country Germany. Title Lutjens Modified Charles F. Adams class, Type 103B Guided Missile Destroyer. Specifications: displacement 4,500 tons full load, length 437 feet, beam 47 feet, draught 20 feet, speed 32 knots, range 4,500 nautical miles at 20 knots, complement 337 of which 19 are officers, main machinery 4 boilers operating at 1200 psi or 84.4 kilograms per centimeter squared, producing temperatures 950 degrees Fahrenheit or 510 degrees Celsius, powering 2 turbines producing 70,000 horsepower, or 52.2 megawatts, powering 2 shafts. Armament and electronics, missiles, surface-to-surface, 4 Harpoon missiles with active radar homing to 70 nautical miles at Mach 0.9. Combined Mark 13 single-arm launcher with SAM system, SAMS. SM-1MR Mark 13 Mod 0 launcher, command guidance, semi-active radar homing to 25 nautical miles at Mach 2, 40 missiles, combined SSM and SAM load, as well as 2 Ram-21 cell Mark 49 launchers, firing missiles with passive IR anti-radiation homing to 5.2 nautical miles at Mach 2. For anti-submarine work, they have ASROC Mark 112 octuple launcher with inertial guidance to 1 to 5.4 nautical miles, carrying a payload of a Mark 46 torpedo. Guns: 2 5-inch 127mm 54 caliber Mark 42 Mod 10 automatics with 65 degrees elevation, capable of firing 20 rounds per minute to 12.4 nautical miles in the anti-surface roll or 8 nautical miles in the anti-aircraft roll, and two 20mm RH-202 cannons. Torpedoes, 6 324mm Mark 32 tubes in two triple sets, firing the Mark 46 Mod 2 anti-submarine torpedo with active-passive homing to 5.9 nautical miles at 40 knots. Depth charges, 1 projector. Countermeasures, decoys, Mark 36 SRVOC 6-barrel chaff launcher, range 0.6 to 2.2 nautical miles. ESM and ECM AGFL 1800S radar intercept and jammer. Radars, air search, SPS 40 operating in the E and F band with a range of 175 nautical miles. The SPS-52 3D radar operating in the E and F band with a range of 240 nautical miles. Surface search, SPS-10 operating in the G band. Fire control, 2 SPG-51s operating in the G and I band for missiles. The SPQ-9 I and J band, range 20 nautical miles, and the SPG-60 operating in the I and J band as well, with a range of 60 nautical miles. For TACAN, they use the URN-20. Sonars, DSQS-21B, hull-mounted active search and attack. And 3 ships are active, Lutjens, Mulders, and Rommel. And I believe all 3 have since been decommissioned. So here we can see a picture of one. Note that the, oh yeah, this is definitely one of the German Lutjens class, because you can see the Mark 13 launcher in the rear, the 2 5-inch guns. And then you can see the ram launcher there, which would have been unique, I believe, to German ships. And here is the 3D model. And, well, they kind of butchered the guns, and they didn't include the ram launcher. But I'm assuming it's a shared model with all the modified Charles F. Adams class destroyers. Next, we have the Bremen-class guided missile frigate, publication Jane's Fighting Ships, section Frigates, country Germany, title Bremen-class, type 122, FFG. Specifications, displacement 3,600 tons full load, length 130 feet, beam 14.5 feet, draught 6.5 feet, speed 30 knots, 20 knots on diesels, range 4,000 nautical miles at 18 knots, complement 207, including an air crew of 18. Main machinery, combined diesel or gas, with 2 GE LM 2500 gas turbines producing 51,000 horsepower or 38 megawatts sustained, and 2 MTU 20V 956 TB 92 diesels producing 11,070 horsepower or 8.14 megawatts sustained. Each powers 2 shafts, and they have CP props. Armament electronics, missiles, surface-to-surface, 8 Harpoon launchers in 2 quad sets with active radar homing to 70 nautical miles at Mach 0.9. SAM, 16 NATO Sea Sparrow missiles firing from the Mark 29 octuple launcher with semi-active radar homing to 8 nautical miles at Mach 2.5. And 2 GDC Ram 21 cell point defense systems with passive IR anti-radiation homing to 5.2 nautical miles at Mach 2. Guns, a little too far there. Guns, 1 3-inch 76mm 62 caliber Mark 75 gun with up to 85 degrees elevation, capable of firing 85 rounds per minute to 8.6 nautical miles in the anti-surface roll or 6.5 nautical miles in the anti-aircraft roll, and 2 20mm RH-202 cannons. Torpedoes, 4 324mm Mark 32 tubes in 2 twin sets, capable of firing up to 8 Mark 46 Mod 2 torpedoes. They are anti-submarine torpedoes with active-passive homing to 5.9 nautical miles at 40 knots to be replaced by the DM-4A1. Countermeasures, decoys, 4 SRBOC 6-barreled fixed Mark 36 chaff and IR, firing chaff and IR flares to 2.2 nautical miles. The SLQ-25 Nixie towed torpedo decoy, Prairie bubble noise reduction. And for ESM ECM, they have the TST-1800S for radar warning and jammers. Radars, air and surface search, the DA-08 operating in the F-band to be replaced by the DASA TRS-3D-32. Navigation, SMA-3RM-20 operating in the I-band. Fire control, WM-25 operating in the I and J band, range 25 nautical miles. And steer operating in the I, J, and K band, range 76 nautical miles for 1 meter squared targets. Sonars, DSQS-21BZ, BO hull-mounted active search and attack. Helicopters, 2 Sea-Lynx Mark 88s. 8 are active: the Bremen, the Niedersachsen, the Rhineland Falls, Emden, Köln, Karlsruhe, Augsburg, and Lübeck. Here we can see a picture of one. And here is the 3D model. This time they did include the 2 Ram launchers. And then you can see the NATO Sea Sparrow launcher up front. And then, yep, there's the Harpoon launchers midships. Gepard PCFG. Publication: James Fighting Ships, Section Patrol Forces, Country Germany, titled Gepard Class Type 143A Fast Attack Craft Missile, PCFG, which I think would be Patrol Craft Fast Guided. G for guided missile, obviously. Specifications: displacement 391 tons full load, length 90 feet, beam 25.6 feet, drop 8.5 feet, speed 40 knots, range 2,600 nautical miles at 16 knots or 600 nautical miles at 33 knots. Complement 34, which for officers, main machinery 4 MTU MA-16V 956 SB-80 diesels producing 13,200 horsepower or 9.7 megawatts sustain, powering 4 shafts. Armament and electronics: missiles, its surface 4 MM38 Exocet with inertial cruise, active radar homing to 23 nautical miles at Mach 0.9 and operating as a sea skimmer. For SAM, they have the Ram 21 cell defense system in some of the class with passive IR and anti-radiation homing to 5.2 nautical miles at Mach 2. Guns: 1 OTO Melara 3-inch 76mm 62 caliber compact, firing 85 rounds per minute to 8.6 nautical miles in the anti-surface roll, or 6.5 nautical miles in the anti-aircraft roll. Mines, capable of carrying and laying mines. Countermeasures: decoys: the Buck Wegman Hot Dog Silver Dog, or ESM ECM, the FL 1800 Mark II for radar intercept and jammer. Radar, surface search and fire control, the Signal WM27 operating in the I and J band, and for navigation, the SM3 RM20 operating in the I band. 10 are active: the Gepard, Puma, Hermelin, Nertz, Zobel, Frechen, Dax, Ocelot, Wiesel, and Haid. Here we can see one note: the rear launcher, the forward gun, and I think that's the surface-to-surface missiles. Yeah. You can see it more clearly in the 3D model. And this is another design that did see some export success, as I recall. Tiger PCFG. Publication: James Fighting Ships, Section Patrol Forces, Country Germany, titled Tiger Class Type 148 Fast Attack Craft Missile, PCFG. Specifications: displacement 265 tons full load, length 154.2 feet, beam 23 feet, drop 8.9 feet, speed 36 knots, range 570 nautical miles at 30 knots or 1,600 nautical miles at 15 knots. Complement 30, which for our officers. Main machinery 4 MTU MD-16V 538 TB90 diesels producing 12,000 horsepower or 8.82 megawatts sustain, powering 4 shafts. Armament and electronics: missiles, surface-to-surface, 4 MM38 Exocet and 2 twin launchers, but firing the MM38 Exocet with inertial cruise and active radar homing to 23 nautical miles at Mach 0.9 and capable of operating as a sea skimmer. Guns: 1 3-inch 76mm 62 caliber compact with up to 85 degrees elevation, firing 85 rounds per minute to 8.6 nautical miles in the anti-surface roll, or 6.5 nautical miles in the anti-aircraft roll. 1 Bofors 40mm 70 caliber gun with up to 80 degrees elevation, firing 330 rounds per minute to 6.5 nautical miles in the anti-surface roll, or 2.2 nautical miles in the anti-aircraft roll. Mines, capable of carrying and laying. Countermeasures: decoys: Volk chaff launcher. For ESM and ECM, they have the Recall Octopus, or the Cutlass B1 radar intercept and Scorpion jammer. Radars: air and surface search: Triton, operating in G-band with a range of 18 nautical miles for a 2-meter squared target. Wow, that's really bad. Navigation: SMA 3 RM20 operating in the I-band, range 20 nautical miles. Fire control: Castor, operating in the I and J-band. 14 are active: the Tiger, Lux, Leopard, Fuchs, Jaguar, Low, Panther, Pelican, Elk, Domo, Vi, Penguin, Ryer, and Kranik. Here we can see P6159. I believe this is one that had export success as well, although it's an older design and I think mostly phased out by now. I mean, they both are older designs, but as Germany hasn't really been building much in the way of fast attack craft lately. The Oste AGI, publication James Fighting Ships, Section Intelligence Vessels, Country Germany, title Oste Class, Type 423 HEI, specifications, displacement 3,200 tons full load, length 273.9 feet, beam 47.9 feet, draught 13.8 feet, speed 21 knots on diesels, 8 knots on motors, complement 36 plus 40 specialists. Main machinery, 2 Deutsch MWM BV16M 728 diesels producing 8,980 horsepower or 6.6 megawatts sustained, powering 2 shafts and 2 motors for slow speed. Electronic sensors, Atlas electronic passive sonar and optical ELAM and electronic surveillance equipment. Obviously, because of the nature of this vessel, a lot of the electronics are classified. There are active the Ulster, the Oste, and the Oker. Here we can see one underway. And no 3D model for us today, apparently. Frankenthal Minehunter, publication James Fighting Ships, Section Mine Warfare Forces, Country Germany, title Frankenthal Class, Type 332, Minehunters Coastal MHC. Specifications, displacement 650 tons full load, length 178.8 feet, beam 30.2 feet, draught 8.5 feet, speed 18 knots, complement 37, in which 5 are officers, main machinery 2 MTU 16V 396 TB84 diesels, producing 5,550 horsepower or 4.08 megawatts sustained, powering 2 shafts with CP props, and 1 motor for useful mine hunting. Armament electronics, missiles, SAM, 2 Stinger quad launchers, guns 140mm 70 caliber, gun firing 330 rounds per minute to 6.5 nautical miles, radars, navigation, the SPS-64, operating in the I-band, sonars, the DSQS-11M, hull-mounted high frequency for mine finding. 12 are active, the Frankenthal, the Weiden, the Rottweil, the Bad Bevensen, Bad Rappenau, Gromit, Datteln, Dilligen, Homburg, Sulzbach, Rosenberg, Fulda, and Weilheim. Here we can see one underway. Actually, it might be several underway. And here is the 3D model. And there's the 40mm cannon mounted up front. Aircraft, Tornado was IDS interdictor system or interdiction and strike something. I forget what the IDS stands for. Publication James Fighting Ships, Section Land-Based Maritime Aircraft, Country Germany, UK, title Tornado IDS, German Mark II Tornado, UK. Role Swing Wing, Strike and Recon, shore-based for fleet air defense and anti-surface vehicle strike. Or anti-surface vessel strike. Specifications, operating speed up to Mach 2.2, service ceiling 80,000 feet, range 1,500 nautical miles, armament and electronics, weapons for ASV, they have 4 Cormoran 2 missiles for air defense, 2 27mm cannons, and 4 AIM-9L sidewinders. Sensors, Texas Instruments, Nav Attack System, MBB Alina Multi-Sensor Wiki Pod. Here we see one presumably coming in for a landing, with the wings spread wide and landing gear down and flaps deployed. And here is the in-game 3D model, with wings also still spread wide. F4 Phantom II, publication Jane's Aircraft Upgrade, Section Aircraft Fixed Wing Military, Country Germany, United States of America. Title Phantom II, U.S. Navy designation F4. Type twin engine 2-seat all-weather fighter aircraft. Specifications, power plant 2 J79GE17A turbojet engines with afterburning. Length 63 feet 0 inches, height 16 feet 5.5 inches, wingspan 38 feet 7.5 inches, max takeoff weight 61,795 pounds, max wing load 116.59 pounds per square foot, max level speed over Mach 2 with external stores, service ceiling 28,100 feet. That seems awfully low. Combat radius 683 nautical miles for area intercept. Armament, missiles, any mix of Falcon, Sparrow, Sidewinder, Striker, Walleye. Guns, 1 M61A1 nose mounted. bombs up to 16,000 pounds of nuclear or conventional bombs in stores. Here we can see one with the famous shark mouth nose. Can't quite make out the roundel there. Maybe it'll look better once it's upscaled, but... And here we can see the 3D model, which is clearly identified as a German aircraft. Next up, the Atlantic. Publication Jane's Fighting Ships, Section Land-Based Maritime Aircraft, Country Germany, title Atlantic 1, Role Long-Range Endurance Maritime Reconnaissance Task. 4 aircraft allotted to ELINT and SIGINT tasks. Specifications: operational speed 355 knots, service ceiling 32,000 feet, range 4,850 nautical miles, armament and electronics, weapons, ASW, 8 torpedoes, including the Mark 46, or mines or depth bombs, sensors, APS-134 radar, ESM, MAD, and sonar buoys. There we can see a German-operated aircraft sitting on the tarmac. And here we can see the 3D model with the prominent MAD Stinger aft. Next, we have the Sea Lynx Mark 88, publication Jane's Fighting Ships, Section Shipborne Aircraft, Country Germany, title Sea Lynx Mark 88, role shipborne ASW and ASV. Specification: operational speed 125 knots, service ceiling 12,500 feet, range 320 nautical miles, armament and electronics, weapons, ASW, up to 2 Mark 46 Mod 2 or DM4A1 torpedoes in due course, or depth charges, ASV, possible update, sensors, Sea Spray Mark 1 radar, AQS-18 dipping sonar. Here we can see the German helicopter. Looks like they're having a guy rappel down, possibly some sort of rescue or replenishment operation, or personnel transport. And here we can see the in-game model. And finally, we have the Sea King Mark 41. Publication Jane's Fighting Ships, Section Land-Based Maritime Aircraft, Country Germany, title Sea King Mark 41 KWS, role change from primary combat rescue helicopter to ASV. Specification: operational speed 140 knots, service ceiling 10,500 feet, range 630 nautical miles, armament and electronics, weapons, ASV, 4 Sea School missiles, sensors, Sea Spray Mark 3 radar, ALR-68 ESM, chaff, and flare dispenser. Here we can see it is very clearly a German-operated example of the Sea King. And here we have the 3D model. And that will do us for today. So with that, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for next time, and stay safe out there, and we'll see you then.